How many folks have ever seen an episode of The Apprentice TV show? Okay. Whew. That's good. That's a good thing. Well, for the last 3 years, I've been very fortunate because I've gotten to travel all over the country and in many cases all over the world. And everywhere I go, people ask me the same question over and over. They say, Bill, did you know you were going to win The Apprentice when you first started taping that show? And I have to be completely honest with them. I had no idea. I was competing with 15 other contestants. We had people from Harvard and Yale and some of the top business schools in the world. And we had doctors and lawyers and MBA students that were in this competition. I didn't know where I was going to stack up in the mix. But I tell those people, if you ask my mom, she claimed she knew I was going to win The Apprentice when I was 10 years old. You see, when I was 10 years old, my parents knew that something was a little different about me. And it all began on their anniversary weekend. You see, my parents, they were heading out of town to celebrate their big anniversary weekend, and they wanted to be alone. So they decided they were going to send me off to my grandmother's for the weekend. I wasn't happy about it, but I went. And I woke up Saturday morning, and my grandma was in the kitchen making breakfast. And I was one of these kids who would ask a million questions. You know, what goes here? Why are you doing that? What's going on over here? So I started inundating my grandmother with questions, and she decided she was going to pull me in the kitchen, and she was going to teach me how to cook. So I spent all day in the kitchen mastering the art of making pancakes. I could make you banana pancakes, blueberry pancakes. You name it, I could make it. So Sunday morning, I pop out of bed, and I race into that kitchen, and the first thing I do is I pick up the telephone, and I call all the old ladies from my grandma's neighborhood, and I invited them over for a pancake breakfast. We had a great time. I cooked them their pancakes. They pinched my cheeks. It was wonderful. Well, when they left, I started clearing their plates away from the table, and I realized that each and every one of those ladies left a $5 bill underneath her plate. And I thought to myself, I'm onto something here. So I did what any other 10-year-old kid would do. I took the money, I put it in my pocket, and I kept my mouth shut. I went back home, the week went by. Friday afternoon, that school bus dropped me off in front of my house, and I went blazing in the front door, demanding that my mom take me to my grandmother's for the weekend. Well, my mom was pleasantly surprised because for the next 5 weekends, I continued to spend them at my grandmother's house, and she couldn't understand this new relationship that I'd formed with my grandmother. And then she was in my room one day putting some things away and discovered my stash of money in the drawer and became rather alarmed, as she should, and immediately confronted me and demanded to know where this money came from. And I had to fess up that I was running a makeshift restaurant out of my grandmother's house. My mom put that business to an end immediately and realized I clearly needed an outlet to harness my entrepreneurial spirit. I knew the only way this business was going to work is if I could reach the masses. I had to reach as many people as I possibly could to get them to pick up their phones and call that 1-800 number and place an order. So I thought back to my JA days. Be creative. You've got to think outside the box. And I sat down at my computer and I wrote a letter. And I wrote a letter asking for help, explaining my idea, asking people to help me. And I took the letter and I put it in an envelope. And I put that envelope inside of a box because I knew a box would get opened before an envelope. And I put some cigars on top of that envelope. And then I went to the local costume store. And I bought a pair of these thick nerd Coke bottle glasses that you would wear on Halloween. And I taped a little note on the bridge of those glasses. And the note read, "Please take a closer look at my business idea." And I put the glasses on top of the cigars that were on top of that envelope, and I sealed that box up. And I did this 10 times. And I sent them out to the top 10 morning radio stations in Chicago, up and down the dial. And about a week after those packages went out, I got a call from the producer of the #1 morning radio show. I'll never forget, it was the Jonathan Brandmeier morning radio show. This guy had over 100,000 listeners listening at any given moment. And the producer called me up and she said, "Jonathan Brandmeier will have you on the air to talk about cigars around the world for 5 minutes." She said, "Make your 5 minutes count." And in life, it's all about making your time count, isn't it? So I go to the studio the day I'm supposed to, and I meet this Brandmeier guy, and we hit it off instantly. And my 5 minutes turned into 35 minutes at the heart of morning drive time. And he's telling his listeners how he's been a member of the Cigar of the Month Club for years. I wasn't going to say anything. Going on and on and on about what a great gift this would make. Continually giving out our 1-800 number every 35 or 40 seconds. Telling people to call this 1-800 number. And I left the studio that day, and there was a big convention going on in Chicago. I couldn't get a cab for the life of me. So I had to sprint back to the apartment where our office was. It's probably 3/4 of a mile. I sprint back, I swing the door open, I'm all out of breath, and I see my partner John, and he has one phone on his left ear, one on his right ear. He's writing these orders down as fast as he can. I leap over and I pick up the first phone that I can grab, and I take an order from this lady, and she places a 12-month membership to the Cigar of the Month Club. And I had to pause, and I had to ask her, "Are you sure?" I hung up the phone, I looked over at my partner John. I said, "John, it looks like we're going to be in business for at least a year because I just took a 12-month membership." I know all about fear. When I got hired to work with Donald Trump, I was scared. I thought, this guy is going to eat me alive. I've got to spend the next year working with Donald Trump. And about 3 weeks onto the job, I got a call from Donald Trump on my cell phone. And that in itself, the first time, is a little bizarre. And he called me up on my cell phone, and he said, "Bill, Donald Trump here." He said, "I need you to do me a favor." And this was the call that really set the tempo where I knew I was going to be okay. He said, "I need you to do me a favor." I said, "Mr. Trump, whatever you need." He said, "I'd like you to fly with me tomorrow to Quito, Ecuador, because I want you to be a judge at the Miss Universe contest." I said, "Twist my arm, Donald. I am a company man. I will do whatever it takes to make the company successful." A wonderful audience.